Once upon a time, in a quiet village at the edge of a vast green forest, there lived a family that everyone both respected and quietly feared. For generations, this family carried a strange and beautiful legacy. Every generation, one child from the family would inherit a rare and impossible gift at the age of 18. A voice, not just a beautiful voice, but one that could change the world around it. Whenever the chosen one sang, everything became still. Crying children would instantly calm down. Worried hearts would find peace. Anger between people would slowly disappear, and even the sick would feel strength return to their bodies. It was though the world itself listened and obeyed. No one ever understood how such a gift was possible. The villagers tried for years to uncover the secrets of the family, but they found nothing. No rituals, no charms, no hidden power. The only thing they always noticed was this: every chosen one wore a necklace. It was a traditional family necklace passed down through generations, beautifully crafted with ancient beads carved from polished ivory wood. At the center hung a small pendant shaped like a teardrop sun. Because of this, the villagers believed the necklace was the source of the power, but no one dared to take it. The family itself was large, a full clan that lived together in a cluster of homes at the edge of the village. Grandparents, uncles, aunts, cousins, everyone shared the same compound, bound together by blood and tradition. They lived quietly, but their presence was always known. Every full moon, something extraordinary always happened. At nightfall, the chosen one would walk from their home to the center of the village, and when they sang under the full moon, it was as if a goddess was singing through the world itself. The air would change, the wind would stop. Even animals in the forest would quietly approach, sitting calmly as if they understood. And as the song spread across the village, miracles followed. By morning, the sick would wake up healed. Crops would grow greener and stronger. Traders would report unexpected success and profits. Even broken families would suddenly find peace again. The village would always wake up in silence and gratitude. Because of this, the family was not just loved, they were respected, admired, and quietly feared. No one would ever dare harm them, because everyone believed that losing them would mean losing the village's blessing. But this time, something unusual happened in the family line. The gift was meant to awaken at the age of 18. Yet, in this generation, it awakened far too early for a girl named Ola. She was only 12 years old. Ola was cheerful, playful, and full of life. A child with bright eyes and innocent smile that made everyone around her feel warm. But her voice was different. Even before the full moon, whenever she sang, strange things happened. Birds would come down from the trees just to listen. Small animals would step out from the bushes and sit quietly beside her. Even wild animals would stop at a distance, calm and harmless at the sound of her voice. It was as if nature itself trusted her. Ola inherited the gifts from her grandmother. An old and wise woman had once been the chosen one of her own generation. She understood the burden of the voice better than anyone else. When she realized the gifts had awakened early in Ola, she knew the world would notice soon. So she gave Ola something sacred, the family necklace. She placed it gently around Ola's neck and blessed her softly. May this protect you and guide your voice. But my child, remember, this gift is not meant to be controlled. It is meant to be carried with care. From that moment, Ola became the new bearer of the legacy. Because she was a child, the entire family became extremely protective of her. Her mother, Oge, watched her constantly with worry in her eyes. Her father, Amadi, carried both pride and fear in his heart. And the rest of the clan watched over her like a precious flame that must never be allowed to go out. They all knew one truth very well. A gift like Ola's did not only bring love, it attracted attention, and attention always brings danger. Seeing that Ola was still only a child, many people began searching for ways to take advantage of her gift. Among them was a wealthy trader named Oba. Oba had traveled across many lands and had spent years gathering wealth. When he heard of Ola and the miraculous blessings that followed her songs, he became obsessed. Like many others, Oba believed that the source of the family's power was a necklace worn by every chosen one. If I can get that necklace, he often told himself, then its power will belong to me. But stealing it proved impossible. Ola was never left unguarded for long. Whenever she traveled through the village, trusted members of her clan accompanied her. Even when she managed to slip away to play with children or help the elderly, she was far more clever than most adults realized. Many people had tried to question her. Ola, where does your gift come from? Is it the necklace? What happens if someone else wears it? But the little girl would simply smile and change the subject. And whenever she sensed something unpleasant in a person, she would quietly excuse herself and disappear before they could ask another question. Oba soon discovered that he had a bigger problem. For some reason, Ola wanted nothing to do with him. Whenever he approached her, she would suddenly stop smiling. Whenever he tried to speak to her, she would quickly find an excuse to leave. And if he attempted to get closer, she would simply run away. After months of failed attempts, Oba became convinced that the child somehow sensed the darkness in his heart. But Oba was not the only person watching Ola. There was also the king. For many generations, the rulers of the kingdom had held Ola's family in the highest regard. They had always treated the chosen ones with respect and honor. Every king understood the importance of the family's gifts. They sent gifts during festivals. They thanked the family for their service to the people. And they never attempted to interfere with the sacred tradition. But the current king was different. He had inherited the throne only a few months earlier. Young, ambitious, and proud, his eyes had become fixed on the little girl. And unlike the kings before him, he did not merely admire the gift, he desired control over it. Soon, another full moon arrived. As night covered the village, people gathered in the village square. From the edge of the village came Ola and her family. Her grandmother walked at the front. Behind her came Amadi, Oge, and the rest of the clan, all surrounding the child as they made their way toward the square. The villagers stepped aside respectfully. When Ola reached the center of the gathering, she stood beneath the silver light of the full moon. Then she began to sing. Immediately, silence fell. Her voice no longer sounded like that of a 12-year-old child. It was as though a goddess had descended from the heavens and was singing through her. The melody floated across the village like a gentle river, warm, beautiful, pure. People felt tears rolling down their cheeks, not tears of sadness, but tears of peace. Others closed their eyes and drifted into the deepest and most respectful sleep they had experienced in years. Even the restless children sat quietly. From deep within the forest, animals began to emerge. Deer stood at the tree line. Bears gathered on branches. Even predators appeared at the edge of the forest, calm and motionless as they listened to the song. For hours, the village remained wrapped in the miracle of her voice. And when the song finally ended, the people returned to their homes with peaceful hearts. The following morning, the blessings revealed themselves once again. Several sick villagers awoke, completely healed. A farmer discovered that crops that had been withering only days before were now thriving. Merchants reported extraordinary profits and successful trades. Families burdened by quarrels suddenly found reconciliation. Once again, prosperity flowed through the village. And that same afternoon, royal messengers arrived. The king requested the presence of the child and her family at the palace. After discussing the invitation, the clan agreed to go. Ola's grandmother accompanied her, so did Amadi and several respected members of the clan. When they arrived at the palace, they greeted the king respectfully. The king welcomed them warmly and ordered food and drinks to be served. For a while, the meeting remained pleasant. Then the king finally spoke. "As you have all seen," he began, "the girl's gifts awakened far earlier than usual." His gaze settled on Ola as he continued. "Such a thing has never happened before. This makes her vulnerable. Many people will seek to use her gifts for their own gain. And for her own protection, I believe the child should remain here in the palace." Several members of the clan exchanged glances. The old grandmother simply smiled. "We appreciate your majesty's concern, but we are perfectly capable of protecting our own." The king's smile faded slightly. The kingdom cannot afford to lose such a precious gem. "Nevertheless," the old woman replied calmly, "she will remain with her family." The king leaned forward. "Then let the child decide for herself." Everyone turned towards Ola. The little girl lowered her eyes and stared at the floor. She said nothing. Before the silence could continue, Amadi spoke. "Your Majesty, no offense is intended, but even if my daughter agreed, I will not permit it. She is still a child." The king's expression darkened. "You seem to forget who you are speaking to." The room became tense. "I am the king," he continued, "and you will do as I command." The old woman remained perfectly calm. "I believed your Majesty's concern was for Ola's safety," she said, "but it appears there are other intentions behind your request." The king's jaw tightened, though he struggled to remain composed. Anger was already visible on his face. "I am the king," he said slowly. "When it comes to this kingdom, everyone answers to me." His voice hardened. "Everyone belongs to me, and you will do as I say." The old woman met his gaze without fear. "This gift has been passed down through our bloodline for generations. No king gave it to us. When our ancestors settled in this land centuries ago, there was already a king. And yet, this kingdom was barren." Her voice remained calm but firm. "It was our gift that brought prosperity. It was our blessings that helped this land flourish. The kings before you understood that. They respected us. We choose to sing every full moon so that prosperity continues to flow throughout this kingdom. No one forced us. No one commanded us. We do it because we choose to." The room fell silent. The old woman slowly rose to her feet. "I believe this meeting is over." One by one, the members of the clan stood. She looked at the king one final time. "Do well to remember that," she said. Without waiting for permission, she turned and walked away. The rest of the family followed. As the family left the palace, King Obasi remained seated on his throne. His face was calm, but inside, he was boiling with rage. The entire palace hall remained silent as he watched them disappear through the entrance. His fingers tightened around the armrest of his throne. In his mind, only one thought echoed over and over again. They will regret this. The old woman had dared to reject him before his chiefs and subjects. No one had ever humiliated him in such a manner. The more he thought about it, the angrier he became. Meanwhile, the family returned home. As soon as they arrived, Elder Nneka gathered everyone. The old woman's face was serious. "We need to be careful from now on," she said. The family listened attentively. "I do not trust the king. A man consumed by pride can become very dangerous." Everyone agreed, and from that day onward, they made a decision. Ola would never walk alone again. Whether she went to the stream, the market, or visited a neighbor, someone would always accompany her. Days passed, but far away in the palace, the king's anger continued to grow. Night after night, he sat alone in his private chamber thinking. Many times the moon rose and set, while he remained awake. He thought of taking the necklace by force, but each time he considered it, he dismissed the idea. The villagers adored Ola. If he openly seized either the girl or the necklace, the people would quickly realize what he was doing. They would see him as a selfish king who wanted the blessings of the village for himself alone. Such a scandal could turn the people against him. For days, he thought and planned. Then finally, an idea came to him. Immediately, he summoned 5 of his most trusted private guards. When they arrived, they knelt before him. "My king." The king leaned forward. "I have a task for you." The men listened carefully. "I want Ola's necklace," the king said. "Bring it to me by any means necessary. But no one must know I am involved. If the people discover that this came from me, there will be consequences." The guards bowed their heads. "It shall be done, my king." Satisfied, the king dismissed them. The men quietly left the palace to carry out their mission. That same day, Ola, her father Amadi, and one of her uncles went to the village market to pick up some fruits. The market was filled with activity. Women displayed vegetables, farmers sold yams and cassava. Children ran between the stalls. Then someone noticed Ola and shouted in excitement, "Ola!" And immediately, excitement spread throughout the market. People left what they were doing and hurried towards her. Some greeted her warmly, others eagerly shook her hand. Many simply stood nearby, admiring her. Ola stood among them, smiling brightly. Her cheerful presence seemed to lift everyone's spirits. Among the crowd was a young mother carrying a baby that would not stop crying. The child cried continuously. The exhausted mother tried everything she could think of, but nothing worked. Ola noticed. Gently, she walked over. "May I hold the baby?" she asked. The woman nodded. Ola carefully took the child into her arms. Then she began to sing. Her voice flowed through the market like a gentle breeze. The moment she started singing, a strange feeling spread through the crowd. Goosebumps covered many of the villagers. Others felt an overwhelming sense of peace settle over them. The market gradually became quiet. The crying baby stopped instantly. The child looked at Ola and smiled, and a few seconds later, the baby peacefully fell asleep. The villagers stared in amazement. Some smiled, others whispered amongst themselves. Amadi and his brother stood nearby watching. Their faces glowed with pride and joy. They looked at Ola and smiled without saying a word. At that moment, they felt blessed to call her family. Some traders began offering gifts. "Take these fruits. Please have some yams. Take these vegetables." Everyone wanted to give something to Ola, but she quietly thanked them. "We only need a few fruits," she said. She accepted only what her family needed. After thanking everyone, she, Amadi, and her uncle began their journey home. The villagers waved at them as they left. What none of them realized was that the king's guards, dressed as ordinary villagers, had been watching everything. They blended perfectly with the crowd, and now they quietly followed. As Ola, Amadi, and his brother walked along the path leading home, the guards struck. The attack was sudden. Men emerged from hiding and rushed towards them. Amadi froze in shock. His brother immediately stepped forward. "What is the meaning of this? Who are you?" Amadi shouted. The attackers did not answer. Instead, they charged. A fierce struggle erupted. Amadi and his brother fought bravely. They punched, kicked, and wrestled with the attackers. Ola screamed and stumbled backward. The men were stronger than ordinary thieves. During the struggle, one of the attackers spotted the necklace. He lunged forward. Before anyone could stop him, he grabbed the necklace and yanked it violently. The chain snapped. The necklace disappeared into the man's hand. Fear immediately flooded Ola's face. She fell to the ground. Tears filled her eyes. She had never been attacked before. The sudden violence terrified her. Fortunately, they were not far from the market. When the people in the market saw what was happening, they rushed forward. Some villagers threw stones. Others grabbed sticks and charged at the attackers. The attackers suddenly found themselves outnumbered. Realizing there was too much resistance and not wanting to attract even more people, they decided to flee. With the necklace in their possession, they turned and ran. Within moments, they disappeared into the distance. Ola burst into tears. She was trembling from fear. Amadi immediately rushed to her and pulled her into his arms. "You are safe," he said gently. His brother looked around in confusion. Neither of them knew who the attackers were or where they had come from. Without wasting any time, they took Ola home. When they arrived, they explained everything to Elder Nneka. The old woman listened carefully. The more she heard, the more troubled she became. When they finished, she sighed heavily. "I fear this may be the king's doing." The room fell silent. No one wanted to believe it, but deep down, they all suspected the same thing. Meanwhile, the 5 guards returned to the palace. They entered the king's private chamber and presented the necklace. The king's eye widened with excitement. He quickly took the necklace and placed it around his neck. Then he waited. Nothing happened. The king frowned. Perhaps singing was the key. After all, everyone spoke of the girl's songs. So he cleared his throat and began to sing. Nothing happened. No light, no blessings, no miracle, nothing. Confused, he removed the necklace. Later that night, he tried again. Still, nothing happened. The next day, he tried once more. Nothing. Days passed. Again and again, he wore the necklace. Again and again, he sang. Again and again, he waited. And every single time, nothing happened. The necklace remained an ordinary necklace. The king became increasingly frustrated. "I do not understand," he shouted. In anger, he ripped the necklace from his neck, and without any idea what he was doing wrong, he hurled it across the room. The necklace struck the wall and fell to the floor. Breathing heavily, the king turned away. For the first time, he began to wonder whether the true power had never been in the necklace at all. Back in the village, Elder Nneka brought another necklace and placed it around Ola's neck. The necklace that was stolen was never the first of its kind. "This one belonged to my grandmother before me," she said. Amadi frowned. "But what if they come back?" Nneka's smile faded. "Then we shall deal with that when the time comes." Few days later, word reached the king that Ola has another necklace. He immediately sat upright. "Another necklace?" His eyes narrowed. Perhaps they had given him the wrong one. Without wasting time, he summoned his guards again. A few days later, the necklace was stolen during another carefully planned attack. Yet, when it was brought to the king, the same thing happened. Nothing. No blessing, no power, no miracle, only disappointment. Weeks passed. Again and again, Elder Nneka gave Ola another necklace. Again and again, the king's men found a way to steal it. And every single time, the necklace failed to work. The king's frustration slowly turned into obsession. He could not sleep. He could not think about anything else. Meanwhile, Elder Nneka had begun noticing a pattern. One evening, she gathered the entire family together. The old woman's face was grave. "We cannot stay here any longer," she said. The room immediately fell silent. "What do you mean?" Amadi asked. Nneka looked at Ola. "They believe the power comes from the necklace. That belief is the only thing protecting Ola. If they discover that the gift comes from Ola herself and not the necklace, they will stop at nothing till they get to her." A cold silence followed her words. Everyone understood immediately. Ola suddenly felt afraid. Amadi clenched his fists. "What do we do?" "We leave," the woman answered. The old woman spoke firmly. "We leave before it's too late." The family reluctantly agreed. Preparations began immediately. By the next morning, news of their departure had already spread across the village. Unfortunately, it also reached the palace. The king was furious. "They are leaving?" he asked. The messenger nodded. The king rose from his throne. "No." His voice was cold. "No, they will not escape." For months, he had chased the necklace. For months, he had failed. Now, a terrible realization entered his mind. Perhaps the power had never been in the necklace. Perhaps it had always been the girl. His eyes darkened. "Gather my warriors." Moments later, Some of the kingdom's fiercest fighters assembled before him. Meanwhile, the family was still at home, making preparations for their departure. The entire clan was helping to gather supplies when one of the watchmen suddenly shouted, "Warriors!" Everyone turned. A large group of armed men was approaching the village. At their head rode the king himself. Panic spread through the settlement. "They have come for Ola," someone cried. Nneka immediately understood. She turned towards Ola. "You must run now." The old woman turned toward Amadi and Oge. Her voice was firm despite the urgency of the moment. "You must take Ola and run as fast as you can," she said. "The king must never get his hand on her. Take the forest path and do not stop running." Without wasting another moment, Ola, Amadi and her mother fled toward the forest. Behind them, the entire clan remained behind. Men grabbed spears. Women picked up sticks and farming tools. They would buy Ola as much time as possible. The king's warriors crashed into the village moments later. A fierce battle erupted. The clan fought bravely despite being heavily outnumbered. But as the king surveyed the chaos, he spotted three figures running towards the forest: Ola, Amadi, and her mother.
DM! After DM!
Several warriors immediately broke away from the battle and sprinted after the fleeing family.